tonight to be here putting on this show with some great pundits who you're going to see in just a little bit. We're going to have a preview up on stage, and we're going to hear from both camps ahead of the game on Sunday, because it is a massive game within the Connacht Championship. We cannot wait for it. Do we have any Rossies in here tonight? Yes, they're loud and clear. What about New York GAA? That's it, absolutely. Sophie in the front. She's giving it socks. It's nice to see so many familiar faces as well. We're going to have a great night, and we're going to kick it off now before I welcome the pundits up on stage with a preview and listen back to the New York camp with Anya Horkin.
The lack of games obviously is a big step.
Yes, and Gaelic Park is looking well, setting the scene well for New York at the weekend. Well, now we're going to move on to our preview tonight, and we've three pundits that we have here for you. You're in for a treat. He is an All-Ireland winner with Donegal. He's also a new GA Plus pundit. Give it up, everyone, for Paddy McBurty. Well, our next pundit, he is also an All-Ireland winner with Galway. Yes, he knows New York GA inside out. He knows what it means. He knows what it takes. We're delighted to have the Vice Chairperson of New York GA. Give it up, everyone, for Johnny Glynn. Good stuff, Johnny. And also, a man that you know well from GA Plus. He is our commentator. And he knows the Connacht Championship like the back of his hand. He's also on the Mayo podcast. What do we think of that, Rossies? Huh? Is that all right? Give it up for Mike Finnerty. Sorry about the few sound issues. We're going to get there. We're all on now, lads. Good stuff. Well, what an occasion. Johnny, might come to you first. Just set the scene for us, what it means to have this game in Gaelic Park and to have so many people coming over for it as well.
I suppose for us here in New York, this is, I think Sean Price has said it about a million times that this is our mini Super Bowl to every single American person in New York. But for us, it's just the best way to show Irish heritage over here. Like, on Sunday, you'll see all the Roscommon people here go up to Gaelic Park. You'll probably see between 5,000 and 6,000 people in Gaelic Park. There's no way to describe it really. It's like, it's the biggest day of the year for us. It's obviously the way of us showing what we can do in the inter-county scene.
Hello everyone in Princess Alley.
Sorry about that. We will come back to that. That's Michael Meehan, Galway's Michael Meehan. He was getting in there ahead of us. One of your mates from Galway. Go on ahead, Johnny. Sorry.
So like for us on Sunday, like even just the thought of maybe pulling off a big shock that could, for us, put a fucking.
He's cursed already. David Burke had said this to me coming over. Watch out now. Tell him not to curse.
I know. Look, it's everything for us.
It's 12 o'clock at home. It's so fine.
It's everything for us over here. We all come over here playing GAA. The kids here playing GAA, and it's just the one weekend of the year that we can actually show what we can do.
Yeah.
And look, it's on GAA Plus. It's on TV. It's what we want to do. It's want to show why the Connacht Championship has to be here. Is this not working or what's going on?
You're working. Sorry about that. Yeah. Well, we also wanted to say a congratulations as well to Johnny because he had a new arrival. Little baby Sadie. Yeah. How's that going?
That's good, yeah. Luckily, myself and my wife, Serena, we actually welcomed a new arrival, Sadie, 3 weeks ago into our family. So, yeah, things have changed for me for the better. And very, very excited to start parenthood.
Amazing. Good stuff. Another New York player on the way, huh? Well, Paddy, for yourself as well, you hung up your boots this year. I know we've chatted about it a few times, but we've a new audience here tonight. Why did you decide that you had enough with the inter-county scene?
I suppose there was a few factors. Obviously, been playing for 15 years and then, having 4 surgeries on my left knee, probably, wear and tear down through the years. Surgeon's advice, lots of medical people involved, and I'm not one of these guys that go in at 60-70%. I'm either all in or I'm not. So I felt the time was right. I don't think I would have given a lot to the squad, to be honest. So I just thought it was best for myself, and based on the medical advice as well, that it was time to call it a day. But great memories, some of the best days of my life. Over the 15 years, made some great friends as well. So. I can be happy with me innings.
Oh, absolutely, an incredible career. Give it up, everyone, for Paddy. Amazing stuff. Have you been able to watch the games, or do you chat to any of the lads, or when you're out of the WhatsApp, are you out of the WhatsApp?
I wasn't added to the new WhatsApp. They were using the 2025 WhatsApp, until January. So I got the chop then. So I'd retired, and I was still getting the text that training was on Tuesday at
oh, no way.
6 o'clock. And but I chatted to the lads. I met a few of them back in Donegal down in a sauna, and I hadn't seen them in a couple of months. Hadn't seen a lot of them actually since the All-Ireland final, maybe for 6 months. So it was good to catch up with them, and I don't like to ask them too much. They're not going to tell me anyway, because Jim has them all under North Korean regimes, so he does. So
well, it's working.
It's working so far, but great lads. And they're going to have a big say this summer.
Not were you surprised with them in the league final, but what a performance. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was. I was watching on the TV and I kind of couldn't believe it. Keelan McGonigal got that 3rd goal, and I was like, geez, I couldn't kind of believe the scoreline, to be honest. But I don't think Kerry are going to forget that now. There's a long summer in it. I feel for Donegal, they had to win that game. They couldn't go back to Croke Park, play Kerry in a national final, and go be on the losing end of it. So I think the game meant a hell of a lot more for Donegal than it did for Kerry, and it probably showed it. Kerry kind of put the heads down after 20 minutes, and people could say Kerry didn't really care about it, but I don't think at the stage they were 21 points down that they really wanted to be in that situation. So really, really good. It's no harm for Donegal at all, but Kerry will take a lot of learnings from it. Yeah,
there's a lot more to come, that is for sure. And Mike, for yourself, was it a big decision now? Tell me. Mayo were obviously in London this weekend. Were you choosing between London and coming here to Gaelic Park?
I could give you the political answer and say that
We all are.
But yeah, up till a couple of weeks ago, I think London was in the pipeline all right, and would have been a handier trip in one way, just in terms of getting the visa at home and the 24 to 48 hour trip in and out of London. But who's going to turn down a few days in New York as well? Delighted that I'm here first and foremost. It's my 7th time being over for one of the New York Championship matches, and in my experience, they get bigger and better every year. And really looking forward to the weekend. I mean, even around town today, the Rossies are out in force. I think 3,000, give or take, over.
Sorry, guys.
Here's Johnny's.
The sound is not playing ball for us.
Yeah, my beautiful assistant here is just trying to work it out at the moment.
That's much better. Much better.
We're back in the room. No one will do me, Johnny.
Yeah. Good man. Mike.
I don't think anybody noticed anyway. But yeah, to see the Rossies, I think there's 3,000 Rossies over this weekend. I think they're out in force. They certainly made themselves comfortable on the flight over yesterday. You could see them settling in, and look, it's a great treat, you know, for the kind of counties that come over every 5 years. It means an awful lot to people here as well, and I know Johnny would know that firsthand. It's as much about what happens off the field and around Gaelic Park as what happens in the 70 minutes on Sunday as well. So delighted to be here, delighted to be part of the GAA Plus team, and looking forward to the weekend.
And tell us, who were you sitting beside on the plane? You were telling me the story.
That's right. Yes. Look, as everybody knows, it's a bit of a lottery when you're coming over. You're not quite sure maybe who's going to be sitting to your left or your right. But it turned out to be one Brendan Cawley, the All-Ireland final referee, who is on duty this weekend as well. I'd never met Brendan before in my life. I'd say after 10 minutes, I would have been forgiven for thinking I went to college with him, or I knew him. I grew up with him. Great character. Lovely fella, and I suppose the proof is didn't watch a movie, didn't open a newspaper for 7 hours. So you can ask me anything you want about Brendan Cawley, I think, and I'm well qualified to answer you. And I must mention the man who was sitting to my right as well, who joined our company, William Doyle from Knockrockery, a proud Dominic's man, brother of Keith Doyle, who's playing midfield for the Rossies on Sunday, and just happens to be a pilot as well. So he was able to tell us exactly what might go wrong when we were coming into land in JFK. So
it's always handy.
Between Brendan on one side and Keith on the other, I couldn't get a word in edgeways.
You were covered anyway. Well, I think it's important just meeting people as well for New York is amazing. I think, you know, you can't walk down the street without chatting to someone or into the pub and you know someone. That happened to me tonight. I mentioned Johnny behind the bar there. Well, Johnny, met him years and years ago, and I looked at him, he looked at me and said, how do we know each other? Through football, of course it is. So great to see him again. But I think that's what New York, it really makes it so special. For yourself, Paddy, you were out last night, you had to go on The View this morning. You were telling lies on The View, you said you weren't out at all. I'm throwing you under the bus.
You are throwing me under the bus. Yeah, I blame Collie, the producer. He took me out, and then Larry McCarthy as well. He didn't help things either, but you know, listen, yeah, Collie made me go on the show then this morning at 8 o'clock, and yeah, it was, I had a brain fog, to be honest. There was a lot of stuttering and stuff, but you come to New York, sure, you're not going to sit in your hotel room, so no regrets.
What were the bars? Rosie O'Grady's was the one, was it?
There was a few of them there, Three Monkeys and Haswell Greens, owned by, well, Donegal lad involved there, so you have to support local.
Start as you mean to go on, huh? Okay, well, we have a massive game at the weekend, of course we do. Roscommon and New York on Sunday. So to look ahead to that, we're going to go to that video that's been interrupting us all night there, Johnny. It was Kieran Murtha, we have John Heslin and Michael Meehan.
Hello everyone in Printer's Alley. You're welcome to Croke Park. I'm joined by John Heslin and Kieran Murtha, and we're all looking forward to the first round of the Connacht Championship in New York, and we're all kind of looking at Kieran here and saying, why the hell are you not out there?
Yeah, I probably picked a bad year to retire, but no, unfortunately I couldn't make it out this weekend. But maybe in 5 years' time, hopefully we'll get another chance and we'll get to go.
Yeah, of course. And I know there's a large travelling crowd going out there already. Haven't missed out 5 years ago due to COVID. If we just have a look at the teams, Kieran, I'll go to you first of all with for Roscommon. What are your thoughts on the starting 15?
Yeah, look, it's a strong 15 that they've named. I imagine there might be a change or two to that team. I see Niall Higgins, Colin Neary named on the bench. They'll see game time, I'd imagine.
team, about I think 10 of 15 started against Galway last year. Give them a right rattle for the first 55 or so minutes. You've picked out a few of those players up for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having that experience will stand to them. We spoke briefly about Keenan Lee. Played a lot of football with Clare. He's obviously spent a little time up in New York now at this stage. So it'll be interesting to see which of the Roscommon superstars that he picks up. And I think that's what a lot of the talk will be within the New York dressing room. That a lot of talk about Roscommon, and I say superstars, tongue in cheek. They're obviously excellent players and play really well. But for New York, they have to kind of try and have something to take them down. And a lot of them talked about New York, or sorry, Roscommon. Potential All-Ireland contenders as well outside the top four that has been mentioned. So I'm sure New York will use that as a little bit of motivation. Killian Butler also spent a lot of time in London born, if I'm correct, has 4 London championships with Tyrconnell Gaels, so a lot of experience. We spoke then about the experience on the bench. James Walsh, Jack Savage, Kerry Lynn, Michael Argy from Cavan, Adam Lockwood Stones from West Greenland. So a lot of experience. Unfortunately, I'm not New York either. The only US born fella here, I think, and in the GAA plus
Family.
So shout out to all those people watching us currently who are maybe living or born in the US. It's a nice place to be, certainly when you're raising that GAA flag.
You were born in
Boston.
Brilliant. We'll let you back to it, guys. Have a great night, enjoy Sunday, and stay tuned.
Oh, good stuff. Never knew that John Heslin was born in Boston. There you go, yeah. All the way to Westmeath, they were delighted to get him. Okay, well, we'll go on to our preview then, Johnny. For you, do you think that New York could cause an upset? And if they could, how could you see it happening?
Well, I suppose like last time Roscommon was here was 10 years ago, and I think we caused a bit of an upset that day. We lost the game, lost by a point. But when you actually look at the names on the screen there to what we had back then, there's no comparison. The team that they have now at the minute is 10 times better team that we had back then. Even if you take the team we had 3 years ago that beat Leitrim, the talent that we have this year, a lot stronger. Like you've big men around the middle, Colin Kennedy, Owen McElliott. Obviously that's going to be a big, if we were to do well, that's where we're going to do well. We're fast runners off the back. Rob Wharton, Matthew Queenan, Donald Hunt, he's a Kerry man, played football in Galway for Salt Hill. I don't think there's a man faster than him that I've ever played on a pitch with. So like, obviously we'll need an awful lot to go well and every bit of luck in the day. But I do think we have the group that could cause an upset. Yeah. And at the end of the day, there's 15 players on the pitch. Roscommon have 15 players on the pitch, so you just go at it and hope for the best, So yeah, no, I think we're in for a good game on Sunday, definitely, and I think that will definitely rattle them.
And how much of, brilliant. Yes, absolutely. A great answer, and I think you're totally on the money. How much of a factor do you think Gaelic Park will be too? The fact that it is a tight pitch, it's a smaller pitch, it's a very fast pitch, and people that haven't played on that surface before, Johnny, it is very different. Yeah,
look, it's a very tight pitch. Obviously for New York, the biggest thing will be to not give up goals. I suppose that will probably help us in the sense that it is a tight pitch. Now, that's easier said than done when you have the likes of Enda Smith and Dara Craig running at you. But look, if we can not give up goals for the first 40 minutes, for the last 30 then, sure, you just throw the kitchen sink at it and see what happens.
And what has changed in New York GAA over the last number of years? Say 10 years ago I was here, it was a lot of Irish lads that would come over, they'd stay for a few years, they would sort of make up the New York team. But now it's a lot of homegrown players. I know you have a mix, but you have a lot of homegrown players coming through as well.
Well, 10 years ago it was, and I don't have no problem saying it, it was probably the closest thing to a joke of a setup. Lads were coming and going, all Irish lads. Now, probably in the last 4 years, you might have, like, year we bet Leitrim, we had 5 homegrown starters. This year on the panel, I think we've 10 homegrown lads on the panel, 9 of which they're on the 26. Yeah. Or it might be 8, but like, the talent we have here is phenomenal, and it is only probably credit to Johnny McGeaney. He probably was the one who came on board and said, you know what, we don't need boys coming from home, we don't need to be worrying about lads coming out or who's the good player this year. We have our lads here, let's build from that and add boys to it. Yeah. And in fairness to Ronan, he's kind of took that attitude from Johnny and has brought it forward, because you have Tiger Reardon there in the backs. He played lacrosse in college. He's an absolute unit. To do a man-marking job, I think he marked Aidan O'Shea 2 years ago or 3 years ago when he was out here, and he kept him to a point from play. Yeah. So like he's a homegrown player. Then you have Joey Grayson signing goals. If he gets a free anywhere 45 yards out, it's going over the bar. So like the talent here we have is phenomenal, and that's probably why we're actually progressing, because it means for what it means to me. I'm here 11 years. It's obviously like my second home. But for those kids, for those lads, this is their home. So they're leading it, and we're just trying to help them to bring it as best we can.
Yeah, and it's brilliant to see the growth over the last number of years. Johnny McGeaney, I didn't even give you a shout out yet. Former New York manager, everyone. Give it up for Johnny. Yeah, he's done a phenomenal job over the last number of years, and we're seeing those players coming through. Mike, you've covered the championship out here for many years now, and I'm sure you've noticed that as well.
Yeah, and just picking up what Johnny said, like you go back to last year's game, after 50 minutes, it was still a proper contest, and it was a really good first half. And I know from chatting to some of the New York lads afterwards, that first half performance last year would give them a huge amount to build on going into this year. Because I was doing a bit of homework today. It wasn't all sightseeing and socialising. You have 11 of the players who featured last year will be starting for New York on Sunday. Again, as Johnny said, that's a lot of continuity. But the obvious issue is the match practice factor. Roscommon have put down a really good Division 1 league campaign. They had the second and third highest scorers in Division 1 of the National League in Diarmuid Murtha and Dara Craig. They scored 15 goals in their 7 league matches, and they conceded only 6 across the campaign as well. Yeah. 3 clean sheets. So, I mean, they're playing well. They've got a serious forward unit. An awful lot will come down to, I suppose, the match practice factor. Can New York put things like the Astro, the physicality that Johnny mentioned around the middle of the field? Leitrim, I know I was up there during the week at an under-20 game. They were really sorry to see Jack Foley leave. Jack is out here now. He's starting to wing back on Sunday. He's a really good footballer. Played against Mayo last year in the Connacht Championship. Conal Kennedy has a handful of Tipperary Club Championship medals with Clonmel. And then you put in Conor Keenan, Jack McKenna into the forward line, Jack Savage in the subs. So there's some really, really good footballers there. But being honest, there's a reason why Roscommon are nailed on to win this, and it's going to take an awful lot, obviously, to go right for New York for them to upset the odds. But I certainly wouldn't be writing them off, entirely. I think that performance against Galway last year should earn them a lot of respect, and for 50 minutes they gave Galway as good as they got. That's when the conditioning kicks in, the squad depth kicks in, and the question is, can New York stay with them in that last quarter?
Yeah, I think that is the big question. Like, looking at them in the league, they were so impressive. They were probably the surprise team of the league, maybe just in Division 1, that they done so well, and so many great performances. That Kerry game in particular, they should have won that one too. For you, Paddy, what have you been impressed with them overall? What has really stood out to you? Is that their firepower maybe up front?
Yeah, listen, Roscommon probably would have been tipped with Monaghan to go straight back down to Division 2. I didn't think Dublin would be as bad, to be honest. I thought Ger Brennan would have given them a kick, but it just didn't seem to happen to be. Dublin seemed to be in transition, but Roscommon were fully, they fully merit their place in Division 1. It started off against Kerry. They should have beat Kerry down in Fitzgerald Stadium, and they've gone and they beat Donegal. So obviously the 3 main guys, Diarmuid Murtha, Dara Craig, Enda Smith, they're obviously they're 3 main men, and they're 3 lads that could make any team in the country. They make a Kerry team, they make a Galway team, they make the Donegal team. So the main thing for Roscommon probably, and it's probably something they've lacked over the last couple of years, is their consistency. Sometimes they have a big win, like this year they beat Donegal, and then Dublin beat them down in Hyde Park. So it's just finding that consistency. They could have pushed on for a league final if they really, really went for it. So they're going to be, every day you play Roscommon. I used to play against Roscommon. Never got to play against them in the championship, but any league games I ever played against them, you always had a big battle. I never liked actually playing Roscommon. If you were to ask me, one of the teams I didn't like playing against, it was actually Roscommon. I actually never ever played well against Roscommon. But that was because Hyde Park didn't suit me.
Yeah.
But
it was the pitch.
Yeah, but no, listen, they're a good team, Roscommon. They're one of these teams, I feel, they're not going to win in All-Ireland, but they could win their province. you know. So they might, but I think it would take a lot. I think it would take a lot of things to go right for them to win All-Ireland. But they could win Connacht. They're definitely within a chance of winning Connacht.
Well, Mike, I'll bring you in on that. What do you think are their ambitions and hopes? Because as you can see, the Roscommon people, there is a lot of hope there this year after that league performance.
I love the way you've decided to bring in the Mayo man.
The Mayo man.
The Rossies start heckling Paddy McBurty here because he's written off their All-Ireland chances. I think Roscommon have a serious chance of winning a Connacht title anyway, first and foremost. You know, they're
I said they were going to win. There's a very good chance of winning Connacht, so it's not all bad.
I'm doing my best here for you, Paddy. We'll have to get you out the back door.
Backtracking.
But look, they're a really good group of players. Obviously, they've got a lot of credentials from underage, and the way Diarmuid Murtagh and Dara Craig are playing at the moment, it's going to take a very good defence to hold them. They've also got a really good manager in Mark Dowd, and I think he's one of the most underrated managers in the country. I was lucky enough to get to meet Mark back in 2012 when he managed Ballahadreen to a county title, and even back then you could see he was a really deep thinker. He's a very good man manager, a very good motivator, and his ability to bring Jason Sherlock into the Roscommon setup, again, I cannot believe there hasn't been more made of that over the last number of months, that Jason is working with Roscommon in the background. You can see, I think, across the forward line and their forward play, his fingerprints. And Mark Dowd is a really good facilitator. So the expectation is it'll be a Roscommon Mayo Connacht semi-final in 2 weeks' time. Obviously, with all due respect to London and New York, there is going to be nothing between Mayo and Roscommon. If that does come to pass in 2 weeks' time, it's going to be a really hard Connacht championship to win this year. I certainly wouldn't like to be putting any big money down. The fact Andy Moran is a Ballahadreen man, I was talking to a few Rossies on the plane coming over yesterday. They're still talking about the FBD League match down in Kiltoom a few years ago where Andy kissed the crest and ran up along the sideline. So that one won't need much hype and won't need much marketing. But yeah, Roscommon they're in the mix for a Connacht title, and if they were to win a Connacht title, they're on the right side of the draw, and I don't think anybody would want to get them.
Well, I think with the new rules as well, like this changes things completely, even for New York now on Sunday. Like the middle of the field in particular, we've heard the likes of Ciarán McGeaney say it's almost like a bit of piggery in the middle. Anything can happen. What did you make of those comments, Johnny? And obviously you would have played in midfield, you're a big lad. Like, is it changed completely, and will that go to New York? Will it be in their favour maybe, in a way?
Well, I suppose just with like long balls, you just load up as best you can. Chances of lad catching is probably very, very slim, so just have to get in the breaks, and I think that's where maybe we might be lucky enough if we can get the breaks, because I know we have a quick set of backs in the half back line with quick lads in the half forward line. So yeah, I'm not going to say it's going to benefit New York, because I'm sure Roscommon are probably saying it's going to benefit them too, but sure, as you said, if it's a dogfight around the middle, you just be underneath and hope for the best.
I think it is a little bit of an advantage. What do you think, Paddy? That it's more of a leveler for all teams now.
I didn't agree with Ciarán McGeaney's comments. To me, it was kind of I was watching it on the Sunday game. I was like, you know, as a manager and a coach, you have to be able to coach your goalkeeper, your backline, and your middle third to get your hands on ball from kick-out. Like, kick-outs are the most important thing in Gaelic football right now, and to just accept because the team presses up on you to kick it long. You're not gonna win the big games, the big trophies doing that. The Kerrys, the Donegals, the Armaghs, sometimes Armagh, but definitely the Kerrys, the Donegal, they practice kickouts 70% of their training sessions. How do we get the ball away short, and how do we shut down the opposition? Because if you can get your ball in your hands from your own kickout, go up the field without turning over the ball, put the ball dead, and shut the opposition keeper down, you're not going to lose many games. So for him to say that it was just a bit piggery, I thought it was a bit lazy, to be honest. He might have learned since then that you have to get hands on ball, and just because a team presses up on you, you have to be able to get the ball short, because if you kick the ball long, people say it's a 50-50, it's probably a 60-40 advantage to the opposition, because they're facing the ball, they're breaking it. You know, if you win it, you still have to turn. So get your hands on ball is the most important thing in Gaelic football. General supporters mightn't see that, but I know from being a Donegal, and Kerry last year in the All-Ireland final, they targeted us big time on the short kick out, and you know they got their hands on the ball, and then they get the ball up the field, give it to David Clifford. It's a big platform to win any game.
And I think probably the disadvantage then, Johnny, for New York is that they haven't had competitive games to try these things out, you know, week in, week out, because the league, you know, Roscommon, they've done that.
Yeah, I suppose that's always been our issue, is not having the games ahead of time. We're lucky a few times where a team might be in town, usually it's a club team, might get a game in, but then what we try to do here is on a Sunday, coinciding with the league, you have as best you can an AVB game, but we all know after 40-50 minutes that more or less goes to shit. But look at what can you do? Like, yeah, we've one game a year to get it right. You just have to try and fucking turn up on the day and give it the best shot.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point keep crying saying, oh, we've only one game. We're in the fucking Connacht Championship. We have a game.
Yeah,
and
massive.
You know, so rather than people keep looking at it saying, oh, it's bad, we've only this, you take what you have and just go for it.
And I wanted to mention Ronan McGinley. I know you did already. Just the fact that he's been out here so long, he's played Ronan McGinley. Yeah, the fact that he's been out here, he's played for so long. He knows what it takes and he knows what it means as well. What does that matter to have him at the helm of all of this?
Sorry, say that again?
What to have him, the advantage of having him at the helm?
Yeah, I suppose like last time Roscommon was out, Ronan was cornerback. Yeah, Ronan was cornerback last time Roscommon was out. That's 10 years ago. He played 3 or 4 years before that. So like, yeah, he's a lot of experience as a player in Gaelic Park. But at the end of the day, he's still the manager. He can only advise as best he can.
Yeah.
But there's still 15 other lads inside the white lines that have played in Gaelic Park for the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm not sure is Ronan's experience or not experience going to benefit or not benefit the team as such. I think he's a great coach, he's a great manager, so I think that side of things of experience is what's going to benefit the team, not the fact that he's played X amount of years.
Yeah. And Mike, for you, from a Roscommon point of view, who should we be looking out for now on Sunday?
Well, I suppose like some of the guys we've mentioned already, they're household names, people are going to recognise them as well, but I'd say a lot of Roscommon supporters and myself as well, you're looking to see how does Calum Keogh go at full back. I know Brian Stack is making his way back at the moment from injury, so you've got Calum Keogh at full back, Ronan Daly centre back, and they're probably just trying to get a handle on who will be in those positions maybe in a couple of weeks' time or in a month's time. There's a midfielder, Conor Ryan, who's getting his chance as well on Sunday, in beside Keith Doyle. Very, very highly rated young footballer. And then up front, the Heenahan cousins from Glavies in Ballinlaw. You know, they're both really highly regarded, but by all accounts, Dara Heenahan is really well suited to the modern game. He's a dynamic, really pacey wing forward in the mould of Conor Hand. And I mean, if anyone who watched the All-Ireland Club Final or the All-Ireland Club Series and you told them Conor Hand, Ben O'Carroll, Paul Carey wouldn't be starting, Shane Cunyan wouldn't be starting for Roscommon out in New York, you know, you'd have got long odds. They're all on the bench. So that goes back to the point, I suppose, about just how strong the Roscommon bench is. But I think the Heenahan cousins, Calum Keogh, Senan Lam was probably the standout player of the league as well for Roscommon. Again, nice and quietly under the radar, left half back, very versatile. They're a real modern footballer as well. But just to go back on something Johnny was saying about, you know, the realities of life for New York as well, and just getting on with it. There was a really good piece today in the Irish News that Rob Wharton did with Jack Madden. And, you know, to read about the fact that the New York lads out training in -12, -13 back in January, wearing ski masks and snoods and body armour, you know, waiting for a snowplow to take snow off the pitch. You know, that's the reality of life. And I think maybe sometimes those of us at home don't fully appreciate what it takes to commit to play for New York and to commit to putting together a performance on Sunday or last year against Galway. You know, everyone makes sacrifices and makes commitments, obviously, to play inter-county football or hurling. But maybe sometimes the exact lengths that lads have to go to in New York and in London is lost, you know. But to go back to the Roscommon point, a lot of good young footballers coming through, and that Bridget's brigade, that 5-6 Bridget's lads to still come back into the team, just shows you the strength they have at the moment.
Yeah, it really does, and very well said on New York as well. It's bringing back a lot of memories. For you, Johnny, who's the 2 or 3 players that we should be looking out for now on Sunday?
On the New York point of view?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose Keane O'Dea, cornerback. He's a lot of experience. He's a good player. Ty Reardon, the other cornerback. But for me in the forwards, I think Frank Riley, he's a very, very good boot of a ball. If he gets any space at all, he's going to be the shooter. Jack McKenna in full forward, he's a big, strong man. If we can feed them and the boys play off him, we have he's a good lad. And then on the half forward, Donald Hunt. I think they're the 3 boys up top to look at.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Well, we did hear from the New York camp a little bit earlier. Let's hear from Roscommon now.
We're well aware of the threats that New York holds over they've taken confidence from that. I'm sure that speaking about that in the game. So no, we were prepared to have as well prepared in all our games at the start of this year. So I'm worried this as well. I suppose they're always looking to improve the structure of the system that we play within, and our biggest thing is that the doctors is doing the game, so we're improvements in our forwards that I suppose we've seen in the games we've competed well in maybe 2 or 3 goals, so it's more of a system. That's the last thing I suppose anytime you go forward you get to be what's like professional in regards to soccer, and what's great as a squad, it's going to make one training camps or you go away together as a group, so we're going to group closer together, and obviously we know that we are doing the job. It's great spending time, I suppose, with your teammates and different perspective on games. You get to see all the supporters who are following you around the country, and personally, them, people are all saying the other ones who are. So, yeah, no, it's always very
Yes, good stuff. Setting the scene nicely for Roscommon. Give it up for Roscommon, everyone. Any excuse for them down the back? Well, lads, I wanted to ask you your provincial winners. So for all 4 provinces, Paddy, going to come to you first. Who is your Leinster winner this year?
I think Dublin. I'm going to go for Dublin.
Paddy, right in the heart.
I want to go for Dublin. A lot of people tipping Meath. I think Dublin will be hurting, they still have a very good team on paper.
Yeah.
So it's not obviously compared to the teams that have gone by, but Dublin, if they get their act together over the last couple of weeks, get into Croke Park, back to a Leinster final, I think, because the pressure's all on Meath. Everyone's hyping Meath up, so I'm going to go for Dublin.
Okay, he's going for Dublin. I'm not talking to you for the rest of the night now. Right, in Connacht?
I'll go for Roscommon and Connacht. I'll go for Roscommon and Connacht.
Just so you can get out of here alive, yeah?
No, that's not that. It's not that. And it's no offence to New York. I think Roscommon, they have a lot of players, I suppose, like Savannah Smith and Jim and Marta. They probably feel like they'd like to win another Connacht title, 2 Connacht titles. So I think there'll be a bit of motivation there for them, and Mark Dowd seems to have them in a really good place, so I'll go for Roscommon there.
And in Munster?
Kerry,
yeah. And Ulster?
I'm going to go for Donegal, but it's not going to be straightforward. Everyone's tipping Donegal, but I will say that Derry will be in the final. They're going to have a big say, and Armagh are going to have a big say in the semi-final if Armagh get over Tyrone this weekend. But it'll be Donegal, Armagh semi-final, and I would say the winners will come from that, but I'll go for Donegal.
Okay, good stuff. Right, Johnny, for you, who's your Leinster winners?
Leinster, I think Meath are going to maybe do something this year in Leinster.
Come on, the Royals.
I think they're a team that's come the last couple of years. They're a big physical team. They're after getting into Croke Park a bit now the last couple of years, so I think Leinster are going to maybe do something in Leinster.
Yeah.
Or fucking Meath do something in Leinster.
Yeah.
Sorry. Obviously Leinster are going to do something in Leinster. Yeah.
Good stuff. And in Connacht?
Galway.
Right. Yeah, got to stick with your
Guys
own.
can talk about me all they want, and no offence to Roscommon, I think Galway are going to win Connacht, yeah.
Munster?
Munster, Kerry.
And Ulster?
Ulster, I think Armagh are going to push to win the Ulster Championship. I know it's probably going to come down to themselves or Donegal in the semi-final, but I just think there's a bit there between the teeth for Armagh, so I think Armagh are going to win Ulster.
Okay, good stuff. Mike, for you. In Leinster, we'll start off.
Just 2 quick observations. Paddy gets heckled once, and all of a sudden he's tipping Roscommon to win the Leinster Cup. Paddy, you're in for a few shocks this summer with GAA Plus.
I said I think we're going to win Connacht, but they're not going to win the Ireland.
You'll have to get a thicker skin, and I'm fairly sure Johnny has just broken his own world record for dropping the F-bomb in a half an hour.
Mayo aren't going to win the All-Ireland.
The editors will be flat out. I think Meath will win the Leinster Championship. Covered a couple of their games this year, and I just think they're a bit further down the track now. Dublin are definitely in a transition phase, and I don't think it'll help that Ger Brennan more than likely won't be on the sideline. I think Kerry, they will be pushed, I think, by Cork. I think Cork are beginning to adjust to the new rules as well, and they're beginning to find a style that suits them. And Stephen Sherlock is obviously back in the fold as well. But Kerry to win Munster, very hard to look past Donegal, Armagh for Ulster, and I wouldn't write off Armagh. I just think there's a kick in them. I think we're very unlucky in a lot of league games this year, so I'll go for Armagh. And I was just thinking about the Connacht one coming over. I do think it'll be a Roscommon Mayo semi-final, and the winner of that game will either be battle-hardened or they'll be in bits going into a Connacht final against a Galway team that probably have an easier run. So Galway will probably win a Connacht title, because again there's probably one more big kick left in them. The window is closing for them, but if they could get Shane Welch back, we were chatting about it a bit earlier, it'll take a good team to beat them. But Connacht is probably up there now with Ulster, I'd say, in terms of been hard to predict.
And who's your All-Ireland winner?
All-Ireland winner, if David Clifford stays fit, I think Kerry win the All-Ireland. And I know everyone you meet says this, but I do think the league final is probably the best thing that has ever happened to them, in the sense of it will give them huge motivation to go back to back. But David Clifford is unmarkable in the new rules. I mean, if you hold him to 7 or 8 points, you're patting yourself on the back and saying we did okay. He stays fit, I think they'll win the All-Ireland, yeah.
Okay, Johnny, who's your All-Ireland winner?
I really want to say Galway because I'm from Galway, but I think Donegal might actually win the All-Ireland this year.
Yeah, okay, one for Donegal. Patrick McBrearty, who's winning the All-Ireland?
There's 4 teams down that could potentially win the All-Ireland: Kerry, Donegal, Armagh, and I have before team are Galway, but there's an asterisk against them. They have to get Shane Walsh and Damien Comer back fit
Fully
playing.
fit.
If they don't have them 2 boys, they don't have a chance. The league final, in my opinion, doesn't mean a thing when it comes to winning All-Ireland. There's going to be a lot of twists in the road. I feel like Donegal not winning Ulster might do them a favour.
Yeah.
Ulster takes a lot out of you. You know, you're burnt out basically by the time you get out of it. So I think if they lost the semi-final, it might do them well in the later stages. But I feel just Kerry have a generational player in David Clifford, and I think that tips the scale for me, and I'll go with Kerry.
Yeah, he's insane. Well, Printer's Alley, who's going to win the All-Ireland? Roscommon down the back. We've Mayo, we've County Down up here as well, Sophie. Who knows? Anything can happen. Galway as well. Okay, good stuff. Well, we're going to finish up with a little bit of a quiz. So we're going to ask the lads up here. If they don't know, we'll turn it around onto yous. And if you give them a bit of a hand. Okay, get comfortable, lads. You ready for this? Yeah, put up your hand or just say, just shout the answer. It's probably easier. Okay, your first question. The last time Roscommon played New York, how much did they win by?
Point.
Okay, Paddy McBrearty won. Collie, keep the score. New York were victorious against which team in the Connacht Championship? We're giving that to Johnny.
I think it's the fact Paddy's sitting closest to you, Aisling.
I can't believe Mike didn't get the first 2.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you to calm down because you'd know them all. Third question. Who's Roscommon's top scorer from the National League? Another F-bomb.
Can we get a swear box to the stage for Johnny here?
Two to Paddy. Who is the New York manager?
Ronan McGinley.
Okay, 1 to Johnny. And what is his home club in Ireland?
Eric Kieran.
1 to Mike. What year did Roscommon last win the Connacht title?
2019.
2 to Mike. Which New York player has an All-Ireland medal with Kerry? Patrick McBrearty. 3. What year did New York enter the Connacht Championship?
1999.
Did you show him the questions?
The reason I know that,
Yeah.
I was at
Mike
the game.
was at the game.
Yeah.
Mike, you have to let her ask the question first. You can't say
Okay.
you've seen them earlier.
Okay, 3 each between you two.
It does sound like I wrote them now as well, so.
Who is the New York captain?
Robert Martin.
Yes, Johnny. Right, you're on 2, yeah? What position did Roscommon finish the Division 1 in this year?
4th. I'd say I got that.
Bit of a tie, vote on 4. What year did Johnny Glynn win the All-Ireland for Galway?
2017. That was a tie as well.
Surely to God, you give me that one.
Do we give that to Johnny?
Just
I'm
in
trying
case.
to say them as
Let me
quick
make
as
the
I can. What year did Patrick McBrearty win his All-Ireland?
2012.
2012.
Yes, he's making a comeback. Right, you're on 4 as well, I
I think
reckon.
I'm on 5.
Yeah. Okay, the last one. The winners in New York and Roscommon play the winners of who?
Mayo
London.
Patrick McBrearty, we'll give it to you. Fair play. Give it up, everyone, for the lads. They were absolutely brilliant. They want to know who won. Patrick McBrearty, it was you. Donegal won. They always win. Well, thanks so much to Printers Alley for having us tonight. We are absolutely delighted to be here. This really means a lot. So hopefully we can make it an annual thing. Enjoy the game now on Sunday, and hopefully we'll have a cracker of a game, no doubt. Come on, the Rossies, and come on, New York!